The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of Weyburn City Council held in council chambers at 5 p.m. Monday, November 22nd. The first priority we have here is the approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting and strategic planning and priorities meeting held November 8th, 2021. Do I have a motion? John.
So moved.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Additions to the agenda. City Manager?
There's none from administration tonight, Your Worship.
Council? None? Moving forward, there's no public hearings or notices. Delegations, proclamations, and petitions. Mr. Richards, you have some introductions to be made here.
I do. Thank you, Your Worship. It's that time of year again where Council is very proud to introduce today the members of the 2021-22 Weyburn Youth Council. The City of Weyburn Youth Council program, as you know, aims to encourage the youth in our community and to get them involved in what we're doing and engage them with local government. Our Youth Council also exists as a channel of communication between young leaders and the City of Weyburn. Our council values and benefits greatly from this program. The past few years has shown us when the youth voice is heard, our community is strengthened. The main function of the Weyburn Youth Council is in an advisory position to City Council. And our youth councillors provide us great feedback on issues that are important to them and their peers. So, Your Worship, I proudly would like to introduce to you this year's Youth Council. First, our Youth Mayor, Dalton Mullner.
So if we could just get you to stand so that the turn there to...
Yeah. Next, our Secretary, Councillor Grayson Nipple. Absent, I believe, is Councillor Erica Sin. Councillor Nicola Erasmus. And Councillor Josh Weens. On behalf of Council and most assuredly on behalf of myself, I want to thank you guys for what's going to be another year of hard work. Always great to have you here, and I enjoy working with you, so thanks for volunteering your time. Now, I think, Your Worship, we want to get a picture.
Did the mayor have something to say?
Yeah.
Okay, if you step
pardon
to the
me.
podium.
Sorry.
Feel like we're in...
For starters, we want to thank the City of Weyburn and Weyburn City Council for providing the youth in our community with a chance to be heard. We appreciate the opportunity to grow as young leaders and for having the possibility to make a difference in our city. As Youth Mayor for the 2021-2022 term, I am excited for what our group can accomplish this year. We plan to continue the conversation on mental health, and we also want to explore more about what the city is doing on important issues like environment and community growth. We look forward to representing the youth in our community and making sure our voice is heard. Thank you.
Right here?
We'll go over here.
You want between us?
We have reports from the Standing Committee. Police Commission, Councillor Van Vetschie.
Thank you, Your Worship. A regular meeting of the Weyburn Police Commission was held in the Administrative Boardroom 4 p.m. Tuesday, November 16th. First item on the agenda was the minutes were approved for the previous meeting, October 19th, 2021. Chief London presented the Mayor's report for October 2021, which included the Weyburn Police Service monthly stats, the Weyburn Police Service 6-year average, charges for October, medical health assist calls, overtime report, and year versus year overtime report. The accounts payable report for October 2021 was provided. Chief London provided a budget report ending October 31st, 2021, showing a budget overage of $269,896,000. But the chief advised he is still waiting grant money in the amount of $177,365. The total net overage is $92,531 if the expected grant money is considered. The board was provided with the bylaw report for October 2021. The reports were presented and accepted as received. There is no unfinished business. New business, the board received an invitation from CAPG for the board commission chair to attend a series of meetings to discuss emerging issues, new policies, and other items of relevance or of interest. The first meeting is on January 12, 2022. The second meeting is scheduled for July 13, 2022. Chair McCormick advised he will attend. The board then moved into in-camera and back out of camera at 5:40, and the meeting was adjourned.
Questions? You can find the report on the city website, and that will be noted and logged on there. Moving forward, consent agenda, Building Department of October. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Because this one will be logged onto the website also.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to make the motion that the Building Department report for October 2021 be accepted as presented.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Motions. Accounts payable. Do you have a motion, please?
Your Worship, I would move that the purchases in the amount of $373,040.52 from November 5th to November 18th, 2021 be approved. Purchases include accounts payable in the amount of $371,414.84 and debit card transactions in the amount of $1,625.68.
Worship, I would second that motion.
Questions? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. We have municipal revenue sharing. City Manager, if you would, please.
Thanks, Your Worship. So the government of Saskatchewan provides funding to each local municipality to support delivery of programs and services through municipal revenue sharing. The annual program gives municipalities an amount based on 3/4 of 1 point of the provincial sales tax revenue collected for a 2-year period. So the City of Weyburn received $2.1 million in 2021. All Saskatchewan municipalities are eligible for municipal revenue sharing from the government. To receive the grant, the municipalities are required to submit the following. So submission of an audited financial statement to the ministry, submission of public reporting on municipal waterworks to the ministry, if applicable, and it is applicable for ours. Ensuring education property taxes are in good standing. Adopting council procedures bylaw, adoptions of an employee code of conduct, and then filing and annually updating public disclosure statements for all members of council, and that's a requirement. All municipalities are required to complete the declaration of eligibility and have it submitted back to the Ministry of Government Relations by January 31st. So for this, we require a resolution from council stating that the 6 required documents will be provided by the City of Weyburn. So I do recommend the City Council provide the province with a required resolution confirming that the City of Weyburn meets all eligibility requirements for the municipal revenue sharing program.
Do I have a motion, please?
Your Worship, I'd like to make a motion that the City of Weyburn Council confirms the City of Weyburn meets the following eligibility requirements to receive the municipal revenue sharing grant. Submission of the 2021 audited financial statement to the Ministry of Government Relations. Submission of the public reporting on municipal waterworks to the Minister of Government Relations. In good standing with respect to the reporting and remittance of education property tax. Adoption of a council procedures bylaw. Adoption of an employee code of conduct. And all members of council have filed and annually updated their public disclosure statements as required. And that the council authorize the city manager to sign the declaration of eligibility and submit it to the Ministry of Government Relations.
Your Worship, I would like to second that motion.
Discussion? I just want to make mention that at the mayor's meeting, this is when we meet, this is brought up quite often in the idea that this is one of the things that SUMA negotiated years back, if you remember, Dick, when they did that. And what was his name, Danette? Laurent? Was it Laurent? Or, yeah, he was very adamant about saying it was 1 penny out of every provincial PST there. Unfortunately, some of the PST has been left out on different things, and that was brought up also that some of the mayors would like to see some things brought in again. But there's where that was one of the things that SUMA really lobbied for and was able to accomplish. So it's helped the cities throughout the province. Call the question. All in favor? Passed unanimously. Mr. Warren, insurance tender.
Thanks, Your Worship. So this is a report from Steffi Hoyam, who is our finance manager within the finance department. So background, the City of Weyburn commercial insurance policy has been held by Sumisher and Aon since January of 2015. The 2021 premium cost was $288,000 plus GST, which is our, 6% PST. Prior to that, Western Financial Group was our insurance broker for the City of Weyburn. So on September 15th, the City of Weyburn put out risk management insurance brokerage services, and that actually went through my department, and it was posted on SAS Tenders and on the city website. Proposal received by 3 entities. Within that, one was Marsh Canada, second one was Western Financial Group, third was Sumisher. The proponents would be required to meet the following responsibilities: risk management, brokerage services including property liability, umbrella liability, aviation liability, and cyber liability, and claims management. Now, when we went through the scoring of the proponents, we looked at the following scoring: understanding of the services and the ability to provide the service, 50%, cost 25%, proposed team 15%, and reference and past performance, which was 10%. Of the quotes received, we only received 3 of them that had a cost behind it. So Marsh Canada did not provide a quote amount for the review, but Western Financial and Sumisher both provide all the requirements to the 4 areas. So you can see by the quotes provided, Western Financial, $325,742. Sumisher was $328,373. And we're looking at a 5-year agreement that we'd like to do. Same thing we just did through our past agreement. It's easier for us to look at how we're doing insurance moving forward because we are insuring a lot of our properties that way. So as a recommendation that from 2022 until 2026, the risk management and insurance brokerage services will be tendered and awarded to Western Financial Group.
Do you have a motion, please?
Yes, Your Worship. I'd like to move that Council accept the proposal from Western Financial Group of Weyburn, Saskatchewan with a bid of $327,742 plus PST for the year 2022 to provide the City of Weyburn with the risk management and insurance brokerage claims management services for a 5-year term from January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2026.
Second?
I can second that, Your Worship.
Question? Mel?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Matthew. First of all, I'd like to thank the 2 proponents that put the work into submitting this, because it's a fairly in-depth submission, I would expect, and glad to see a company from Weyburn got the job, as it's Weyburn employment and the dollars stay here. But I do have a question. It's a 5-year contract, and I suspect that this price doesn't hold for the entire 5 years, so I'm wondering if they give any kind of maximum amount that it'll increase each year, or if that's possible, or is it something that we know, I guess.
Yeah, for that, Councillor Van Betchie, the way it works is that they do not give you a set price, and no insurance company will provide a set price for that. So the way it works is that the increases that you may see, or decreases, which you usually would not see, is based on the premiums, and it's based on the claims that are happening. The one thing that we've noticed that when we were with SummerSure, they do reciprocal insurance. So what happens is it's a group, right? And it's a group benefit. So what happens within that is that when there is a claim, those losses get spread out, but it's in a small group of people. When you're dealing with someone like Western Financial, you're dealing with a lot bigger of a group that you're dealing with going forward, and they're looking for prices for us, right? They're trying to find the best price for us for that moving forward. But it's all based on premiums, and it's all based on the claims, and always hoping that we don't have a bunch of claims.
Thank you very much, and like I say, it's great to see that the two prices were so competitive, so we know we are getting good value for our dollar. Thank you.
More questions? Mr. Jenke?
Mr. Warren, I was out of curiosity, Marsh Canada did not provide a quoted premium. It seems very odd to submit a quote without a number in it. Do we know why that is?
Yeah, so when they provide the quote to us, it was them asking to go into a process to start providing us a quote, which we actually reached out and asked, and they said, no, we want to wait and then provide you a quote, which that was not the request within the bid document. The bid document was for us to be provided with all of the prices for the 4 categories we're looking for moving forward.
Understand completely. Thank you.
With that, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. The next one, Board of Revision. Mr. Warren?
That's me again. So I'll go through the Board of Revisions and Development Appeals Board. So right now, the City of Weyburn appoints a third-party Board of Revisions and Development Appeals Board each year. So we're going through the duties of the Board of Revisions and outlined in the appeal manual, so that's the process they have to follow. So property owners have the right to appeal their SAMA assessed property to the board. Appeal forms are sent directly to the board, and the secretary to the board informs the property owner if the appeal is in good standing and approved. Upon approval, a meeting is set up with the property owner, SAMA, and the Board of Revisions to hear the reasons for the appeal. The Board of Revisions then determines how to process the appeal based on the facts that are presented by the property owner and by SAMA. The duties of the Development Appeals Board are outlined in the Development Appeals Board Guide. So they adjudicate appeals relating to matters under the Plan and Development Act, including but not limited to development permits, minor variances, subdivisions, development levies, service agreements, and demolition control districts. The city is required to appoint this pursuant to the Plan and Development Act and the city zoning bylaw. So the city has historically used Krishmer Associates as both the Board of Revisions and the Development Appeal Board. We've just been advised that Krishmer's will be not providing the service into 2022. So the direction I provide administration was to look into some other people who are providing this, reaching out to some other municipalities to see who they are getting, because they're going to be in the same situation we are, because Krishmer was providing service to many different places. So we contacted Western Municipal Consulting and North Sask Board Services to provide Board of Revision and Development Appeals Board services. North Sask declined to provide the services as they only have capacity to provide services to the northern half of the province. Western Municipal Consultants has offered to provide the service. The fees are very similar to what Krishmer was providing us. Fees consist of a $250 retainer fee, hourly staff, and board members' rate of $50 to $75 an hour, mileage of 60 cents a kilometer, printing, postal, and facility rental fees as required. So the recommendation from administration is that the City of Weyburn retain and appoint Western Municipal Consulting Limited as the Board of Revisions and the Development Appeals Board for 2022.
Do you have a motion?
Thanks, Your Worship. I'll make a motion that council appoint the board members of Western Municipal Consulting as listed in the report presented to serve as the City of Weyburn's Board of Revision and Development Appeals Board with the following fee schedule. The WMC retainership fee, $250 per calendar year or portion thereof. Hourly staff rate of $50 an hour. Staff mileage for appeal hearings, 60 cents per kilometer. WMC printing fee for notifications, board member packages, decisions, transcripts, 15 cents per page. Board member rate, $75 per hour. Board member mileage, 60 cents per kilometer. Postage, standard Canada Post rates, and facility rental as dictated by the appeal venue.
Do you have a second?
Your Worship, I'll second that motion.
Discussion? Yes.
Thanks, Your Worship. I think most of the questions have been answered in here. I'm glad to see that rates are similar to what we have been paying with Christopher and Associates. My only question, and maybe not appropriate to ask, is do we know why Christopher and Associates aren't providing us service any longer?
They just decided not to provide the service anymore. They pretty much just decided that they're done and they want to move out of the business moving forward.
So they didn't decide to stop providing the City of Weyburn service?
No.
They stopped providing the service to anybody?
That's correct,
Roger.
Councilor Richards.
Thank you for
Many
that.
municipalities are doing the exact same thing we're doing right now.
Very good.
Just go ahead.
Just one question. Where are they out of?
Laura,
I
you
think
provide
it's
that.
Meota, Saskatchewan.
Just curious, maybe because the mileage will be a little bit different, but yeah, thank you.
I just the one comment. I find it kind of weird. I was a $250 a year retainer fee, but it is what it is. That's pretty cheap. Yeah, it's kind of a, yeah. Anyway, I guess a dollar sort of thing. Any other questions? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Pre-budget approval fleet, if you would, engineering.
Yes, good evening. So this is for the 2022 vehicles. So Fleet Services has a department budget request for capital purchases in 2022 of $225,000 for a total of 5 Class 1 quarter-ton trucks or 5 Class 2 half-ton trucks for 2022 delivery. And this is to replace 5 older units that will be sold at auction with an expected return of around $20,000. So on October 22nd, the proposal was posted on SAS Tenders and the City of Weyburn website. The competition was prepared to allow bidders to provide quotations for Class 1 quarter-ton trucks and Class 2 half-ton trucks. So quotations were to be received by the City of Weyburn by November 5th at 12 p.m. And a total of 1 proposal was received. The results of the proposal are below. So it was both from Barber Motors for the Chevrolet Colorado and the Chevrolet Silverado. Based on a full bid assessment of the proposal from Barber Motors, the 1 2022 Chevrolet Cutter trucks and 4 22 Chevrolet Silverado trucks meet the operational requirements as outlined by the city. So the big reason for asking for the pre-budget approval is just based on the limited truck inventory and the long lead items to COVID. There's just not a lot of availability on lots, and there's just a really long lead time to get into the queues to get trucks. So we're asking for pre-budget approval to purchase 1 2022 Chevrolet Colorado truck and 4 2022 Chevrolet Silverado trucks from Barber Motors at a price of $221,915, net cost delivered, taxes not included, and this would be a 2022 delivery.
Do you have a motion, please?
Your Worship, I would move that council provide pre-budget approval of the bid of Barber Motors Limited to provide 1 2022 Chevrolet Colorado truck and 4 2022 Chevrolet Silverado trucks from Barber Motors Limited at a bid price of $221,915, net cost delivered, taxes not included, for a 2022 delivery.
Second?
Your Worship, I'll second that motion.
Questions? Mr. Mickle.
Thank you, Worship. Jennifer, how old are the trucks that we are replacing? Any idea, approximately?
Well, so to give you guys an idea, so we have 29 trucks in our fleet, and 18 of them are 10 years or older. So to give you an idea, most of our fleet is aging out quickly, and we would obviously be replacing the older ones of those, but we're looking that we have trucks all the way back to 2000, 2001, 2004, kind of in that range would be the ones we would be replacing to start off with.
One more question I have for engineering. Jennifer, we didn't do pre-budget approval for the pothole patcher, so any idea when that'll be in? I didn't mean to put you under the bus, but.
We're still expecting it this year, and it is coming. They finally got the last pieces together. They finally got they finally just actually got the last pieces to put it together. So we are expecting it shortly. But that is the thing, to give you guys an idea, we just received the fleet trucks that we ordered this year. The other half or quarter tons that we'd ordered through budget last year, we just received them. So that's the thing is they are quite delayed.
Thank you. Mr. Richards.
Thanks, Your Worship. Jen, I just wanted to you and your department, this is good work. It would be easy to not do this and then find ourselves having to react to market conditions because we need trucks because something has failed. So although, you know, this sometimes seems odd, I really support this. I think you've got good pricing here, and I do understand that it takes time. So kudos to you and your team for that. Thank you.
Questions? I was just wondering, was there any reason why Ford and Dodge never bid on this?
So the last time we put a tender out, we only did see Barbers and Ford bid. We're unsure why Ford did not bid on this one, if it was a stock issue or they just couldn't commit. But we've always gotten really good service from Barbers, so we're quite comfortable ordering through Barbers. They've always given us really good service and really good fleet service. So. Oh,
I totally understand, and I just thought it was very strange that we'd only have, in these times, we'd only have one person bidding. So. Yeah,
and it might just be due to being able to not commit into delivery schedules. So. Okay.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Introduction of bylaws, City Manager. The rural fire and rescue agreements, if you would.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. So on September 11th of 2017, the City of Weyburn passed the Rural Rescue and Fire Services Policy Bylaw, which is 2017-3364. The bylaw was established to set guidelines with respect to providing fire rescue service to municipalities outside the city limits from January 1st of 2017 to December 31st of 2021. The bylaw assisted in the creation of agreements with the following municipalities with the various coverage and start dates. So as listed, we have fire and rescue agreements with Arm of Weyburn, which is 100% coverage, Arm of Griffin, which is 25% coverage, Arm of Stars Valley, which is 50% coverage. Rescue-only agreements, Arm of Broken Shell, 50%, Arm of Lake Alma, 100%, Town of Radville, 100%, Arm of Laurier, 100%, Arm of Wellington, 100%, and the Arm of Lomond, which is 50%. With the expiration of the current bylaw on December 31st, so within a month and a half from now, a review of the current agreement's terms needed to be established and reviewed to do an amended bylaw for council. So proposed bylaw amendments, the first thing is a term. Administration is recommending another 5-year term, so going from January 1st of 2022 and ending on December 31st of 2026. Having payments, just because of the lateness of where we're looking at right now, have everyone provide their first payment for the 2022 on March 15th, and then for the years of 2023 till 2026, have payments by January 15th. Annual levy, continue to use the established annual levy formula for all agreements and include a 3% increase each year. Additional fees, the first one isn't a change. We always use the SGI rate, but we want to make sure that it's listed correctly in the terms for our contracts. Fire investigations, it would be $80 per hour plus mileage. There'd be the same cost for fire inspections and fire prevention class visits. Mileage would be 52 cents per kilometer, and local assistance would be $1,270 for local assistance. So just of note, the fire investigation inspection prevention class visits, mileage, and local assistance are only to the municipalities receiving fire and rescue services. So based on what has been provided here, we're recommending approval by giving the rural fire and rescue policy bylaw all 3 readings at this meeting tonight.
Do you have a motion, please?
Yes, Your Worship, I do. I move a motion that bylaw number 2021-3439, our bylaw to adopt a rural fire and rescue service policy for the City of Weyburn, be read a first time.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Discussion?
Thanks, Your Worship. Good job on this to administration. Thank you for getting this to the table in a timely fashion. I feel very good about what you have laid out here, City Manager, around the rates and how this is built out. So thank you for that. I will support doing all 3 readings tonight because of timeliness. And I appreciate that in your, now I've scrolled my page and I've lost it, but you have moved the payment date out a few months as well for our partners, so I appreciate that, and I hope that that helps folks in their budgeting process, but we do need to get this out the door as quickly as possible. So thank you for your work, and to our partners, thank you for being good partners.
Anything else? The only question I have to you, City Manager, is the mileage. And I'm just wondering, and again, this is, I'm just wondering whether is, 2 questions. First off, does this reflect kind of, is this an increase from past mileage on
yes, there? Yes, Your Worship. So the past mileage was 49 cents, so they went up by 5%. Is that 5%?
And I guess just the way that fuel prices seem to be really escalated, and I know that there's in different industries they've been really caught, like in the oil field, on this. Would it be smart to somehow be able to put a, what is it called? Not a levy, but a clause in there that you can, a surcharge, a fuel surcharge. You see that on a lot of the trucking companies will do that.
Yeah, we're not seeing a whole bunch of cost effect onto our budget right now with the fuel, with that way. And you're only charging that for the people who are outside of those contracts, right? So
okay.
Yep.
So long as you feel that we're comfortable with what we're getting, because again, we don't know where the fuel costs can go on that. So, there. Mr. Van Betju.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Yeah, I think, along with Councilor Richards, I think it's important to get this passed all tonight. We're very fortunate to have our partners in the RMs that are helping us, and we're helping them, and I think the costs are very reasonable, and, you know, I think our fire budget is probably going to go up a little bit higher than what the 3% might be, but I think we can't expect to pass that cost on. And I think we have to be fair to the RMs and continue a good partnership. So I appreciate what the council did years ago when they put this bylaw together. It simplified, and it's very clear as to what's provided, and that was a big step in itself, and it makes tonight's step that much easier.
Any more questions, comments? No? Okay, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Mr. Mickle.
Okay, second reading. Make a motion that bylaw 2021-3439, a bylaw to adopt a rural fire and rescue service policy for the City of Weyburn, be read a second time.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously.
Make a motion that bylaw 2021-3439, a bylaw to adopt a rural fire and rescue service policy for the City of Weyburn, be given 3 readings at this meeting.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously.
Make a motion that bylaw number 2021-3439, a bylaw to adopt rural fire and rescue service policy for the City of Weyburn, be read a 3rd time and passed.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. No unfinished business. New business. Janine, if you would, please. No supplementary, well, pardon me, sorry. I missed that. I turned the page already. City Manager, if you would, please. Bylaw 2021-3440, supplementary role extension.
Yep, thanks, Your Worship. So SAMA has not sent out the numbers for the city for assessment of the supplemental role for 2021. the process for preparing the assessment rule for mailing of the 2021 tax notices, we passed the required date of December 1st of 2021. Extension date of January 31st, 2022 will be more than enough time to prepare the assessment rule, and more time is required to make sure that there aren't any errors or changes that are required when looking into before applying the mill rates and proposing the numbers and preparing the tax notices.
Do you have a motion, please?
Yeah. Thanks, Your Worship. I'll make a motion that Bylaw 2021-3440, a bylaw to extend the time required for the completion of the 2021 supplementary assessment roll, be read a first time.
Your Worship, I'll second that motion.
Discussion? Mr. Richards?
Thanks, Your Worship. To the City Manager, did Sama give any indication of why we're in this situation?
I'll let the Director of Finance speak to that.
So they need our assessment. Our original roll assessment has to be verified first, and we're waiting for some appeals. So we've got those appeals now completed, and we've just submitted it, so we're waiting for it to get back.
Okay. Thank you. Yep. Don't talk so loud next time.
Any further questions? No? Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Next. Now.
Wait. Do we want to do the rest of these?
Yep.
Your Worship, I motion that Bylaw 2021-3440, a bylaw to extend the time required for the completion of the 2021 supplementary assessment roll, be read a second time.
Your Worship, I'll second that motion.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Go ahead. Sorry.
Your Worship, I make a motion that Bylaw 2021-3440, a bylaw to extend the time required for the completion of the 2021 supplementary assessment roll, be given 3 readings at this meeting.
Your Worship, I'll second that motion.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously.
Your Worship, I make a motion that Bylaw 2021-3440, a bylaw to extend the time required for the completion of the 2021 supplementary assessment roll, be read a 3rd time and passed.
Your Worship, I'll second that motion.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. There's no unfinished business. New business. Discretionary use development permit. Now, Ms. Fletcher.
So, Your Worship, before Janine goes through her report for council, the proponent wants to speak to this matter, so I will call them. They're going to be on the speakerphone. So just give me a minute, and I'll make sure that's set up for this part of the meeting.
Okay.
Welcome to the SaskTel IBC conference service. Please enter a conference ID and press pound. Please enter the security pin and press pound. This is not a valid security pin. Please enter the security pin and press pound.
Next item.
Please record your name after the tone and press pound.
Matthew Warren.
You will now be placed into the conference. Press star for help.
Matthew Warren. Hi there, how are you tonight?
Hello?
Hey, how are you tonight?
Oh, I'm good. Good. How are you?
I'm very good. It's Matthew Warren, the City Manager for the City of Weyburn. So we're just going to start the presentation. When council asks for you to speak, we'll just go through that as we go forward in the meeting.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, City Councilors. A discretionary use development permit application has been received for the placement of a digital billboard sign at 53 Government Road Southwest, which is the Travelodge property. The sign would be located on private property, and billboards on private property require council approval under the zoning bylaw. The sign is proposed to be located on the northeastern corner of the property. As a discretionary use, neighborhood notice is required to be sent to all property owners within a 75-meter radius of the subject property, and it notifies them of the application and the opportunity to provide their concerns and feedback to council. No comments or concerns from the neighborhood notices have been received to date. Additionally, the application was circulated to applicable agencies and departments for comment, given the proximity to 2 major highways. The application was circulated to the Police Department, Engineering Department, and the Ministry of Highways, and comments were received from all 3 agencies, which I'll discuss later in this report. So I've included a picture of the location and where it will be located on the property. And then they submitted a site plan as to where it would be located. It'll be facing north and be 4 meters from the east boundary and a ½ meter from the northern boundary. And they submitted a sign elevation of what the billboard structure will look like. It's 8 meters tall to the top of the structure. The subject property is located at the intersection of Government Road, which is Highway 35, and Sims Avenue, with Highway 39 directly north of Sims Avenue. The property is located within the major arterial commercial zone, and the MAC zone is one of the zones that allows for billboards on private land. Section 4.8.24E of the zoning bylaw sets out the required setbacks for billboards on private land. It requires that no portion of a billboard sign be located within 23 meters of an intersection of streets, and this is measured from the intersection of the property lines. Additionally, the zoning bylaw intersection sight line triangle states that no sign shall be placed within the intersection sight line triangle as required by section 4.10 of the zoning bylaw. The intersection sightline triangle is defined as the triangle bound by the street lines and a line joining points on the street lines a distance of 7.5 meters or 7.6 meters from the intersection. And I've included a diagram to illustrate that. The zoning bylaw has requirements for setbacks to intersections for these types of signs to ensure that sightlines are preserved for visibility and safety purposes. Additionally, these signs can create distractions for drivers on the streets and can become a safety hazard when located too close to intersections, especially with digital signs that have changing messaging on them. The applicant is proposing that the billboard be located 0.5 meters from the north property line and 4 meters from the east property line, which does not meet the requirements for a setback of 23 meters from an intersection. Moreover, the proposed location is well within the intersection sightline triangle. The proposed billboard complies with the maximum height permitted and the maximum size of sign face permitted. So the agency concerns or comments. The planning department reached out to the Ministry of Highways for comments on the proposal due to the proximity of the billboard to the intersection of 2 major highways. Additionally, comments were received from the engineering and police departments. The ministry comments have been attached to their report, and they provided recommendations for the proposed sign, including that it should not impede sight lines of motorists approaching the intersection, have a minimum display of 30 seconds, should not include animations between frames, should be equipped with sensors to measure ambient lighting, have a maximum brightness of that of ambient lighting, should default to a black screen if a malfunction or a failure occurs, and should not in any way resemble an official sign or a traffic light standard to avoid confusion by motorists. The ministry also advised that setbacks are to be as per the City of Weyburn bylaws, since it is located within city limits. They will not be responsible for any damages to the signs resulting from the ministry's regular maintenance, and the applicant is responsible for all expenses for removal of the sign if it is required for a road widening or service roads through future development. The Director of Engineering expressed that they would not be in favor of the proposal for several reasons. The Director advised that this intersection is already one of the busiest in the city and has some existing traffic flow concerns with the proximity of the railways and Sims Avenue so close to the intersection. It has seen numerous accidents and close calls over the years. With multiple driving lanes and business accesses close to the intersection, the billboard would be an unnecessary distraction that doesn't need to be added to this location. Also, this location has been identified through the Weyburn Regional Transportation Study as an area of concern and has been identified for potential future development to alleviate some of those concerns. Chief of Police expressed concerns that the vehicles exiting the parking lot on the property may become distracted by the sign as they are entering the street right-of-way, specifically when entering Highway 35, as they will have to look towards the sign to oncoming southbound traffic. Additionally, the chief was concerned that given the size of the sign and the digital nature being so close to a major intersection, it would be a distraction for drivers approaching the intersection. Even being distracted for a few seconds causes concerns for traffic safety at that intersection. So council's decision options tonight. Option number 1 would be to approve development permit 2021.032 for a billboard at 53 Government Road, subject to the following conditions. The billboard sign must comply with the setback requirements of section 4.8.24E of the zoning bylaw. This sign shall not have any distracting devices, including but not limited to strobe lights, flashing lights, animations between frames, or live video. There shall be no direct illumination that impedes vehicular traffic or interferes with traffic signals. Billboard shall not impede the flow of floodwaters in a flood event. The sign shall be equipped with sensors to measure ambient lighting. Sign shall have a maximum brightness of 3.2 CD meters per meter squared of ambient lighting. The sign shall default to a black screen if a malfunction or failure occurs, and the Ministry of Highways will not be responsible for any damages to the signs resulting from the Ministry's regular maintenance, and the applicant is responsible for all expenses for removal of the sign if it is required for road widening or service roads through for future development. Option number 2 would be to refuse the development permit for a billboard at 53 Government Road for the following reasons. The proposed sign location does not comply with the zoning bylaw, which requires a setback of 23 meters from the intersection, and the sign may create a safety hazard due to the contravention of the above-mentioned setback requirement and the proximity to the intersection. The council or the development officer may not approve a development permit that contravenes the zoning bylaw, except in accordance with the minor variance process as permitted by the zoning bylaw. The current proposal does not meet or does not comply with the required setback from an intersection and would not be eligible for a minor variance. Additionally, various concerns have been expressed by staff, including the planning, engineering, and police departments, regarding the proximity to the intersection and associated safety hazards. Therefore, staff are recommending option number 2 to refuse the discretionary use development application based on the reasons included above.
Do you have a motion, please?
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to make a motion that the discretionary use development permit for the placement of a digital billboard sign at 53 Government Road Southwest, Block A, Plan 98 SE 45172 be refused for the following reasons. The proposed sign location does not comply with subsection 4.8.24E3, which requires a setback of 23 meters from the intersection. The proposed sign may create a safety hazard due to the contravention of the above-mentioned setback requirement and the proximity to the intersection.
Your Worship, I'll second that motion.
Just going to say, is that a negative motion, or is that not? Because you can't do a negative motion.
Yes, actually, you can do a negative motion, and it's not really called a negative motion. It's called a motion of refusal. The Planning and Development Act, Janine actually informed me this section 56 of the Planning and Development Act. I actually wrote it out because I was concerned that we might have some concerns about it. So section 56(1) of the Planning and Development Act says the council shall exercise its discretion respecting an application pursuant to section 54 for a discretionary use by resolution to A, reject the application. So you can reject an application by resolution, and the reason being is that if you reject an application, you can make a motion if you give reasons for the rejection. So yes, you can.
Okay, just as long as we're in line with what we're supposed to be. You had seconded, so go ahead, Mel. Question. He did.
Your Worship, I seconded that.
Yep.
So if I can ask one question?
Sure, go ahead.
To be completely clear here, so voting yes on this is to reject it?
That's correct.
Okay, questions?
We do
I'll let you, if you would talk, sir.
The applicant.
Do you want?
Do you guys have any questions?
Or sorry, did he have a presentation or anything he wanted to say?
So council wants to know if you have anything to say to the application.
Oh, yes, thank you. There's a few things that I'd like to point out with this application. Predominantly its placement on the lot. As you can see with the maps that we've drawn, this sign is parallel to the highway, parallel to Government Road as well. So we feel that the distraction presented to Highway 39 and to Government Road themselves is fairly minimal. Also with the height of the sign, yes, it is within the site triangle, but it would not actually impede the visibility of this intersection just because it has 5 meters of clearance from the ground to the base of the sign. So unless you're in a real monster truck, you're probably not going to see it at that intersection. You should be able to see any traffic underneath it. So we feel those are pretty big factors. It's also important to note that most of what has been recommended by highways, we already abide by. The only thing that we don't is that the displays are up for 30 seconds. On our billboards, they're up for 6 seconds. There's no movement, there's no transition effects, there's none of that stuff. It's just static images that go through rotation. The reason why we have digital billboards is so that you can have up to 10 ads in one location instead of having to build 10 different locations. We want a digital billboard in Weyburn to support businesses in the area. There's been demand for it, and we've decided that this was a great location for it. It's going to capture traffic not only within Weyburn, but commuting through, hopefully divert some people off those highways. And we feel that this site really fits for a lot of the stipulations that we usually go for. It's also worth noting that these digital billboards in just about every major city, major and secondary city in the province, and have built them at quite similar intersections in Yorkton, Moose Jaw, and North Battleford, and haven't had a single issue with it. So we're really hoping that we can come to agreement on this one, make a billboard that's going to serve the community, serve the needs of the travel lodge as well, because obviously those guys are going to have an advertising spot on this. They're pretty excited about it. So we're willing to work with the city of Weyburn here to come up with something that's going to not only be safe but also serves the business needs of the community. And I'm available for any questions if you have them.
Janine, did you have something to say?
And that's Andrew from Pattison who made the application. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Van Vetju?
Yes, thank you, Janine. Thank you, Andrew, for your presentation. I realize it's a great, probably this is the ideal location, I'm sure. But the sign is actually, it's perpendicular to Highway 35, not parallel to Highway 35. But I can't support it just on the fact that I have to listen to our engineer and our police department when they say it might be a distraction to traffic, and I can't argue that. And I'm wondering maybe, if you could look at moving it back or a slightly different location. I have been known to question administration on some of their comments that they've made before, but I can't argue this one. I do feel that, there is a, they know best, and, if the police and the engineering department are both saying that there's a possibility of distraction at this intersection where there's lots of truck traffic, et cetera, then I think I have to listen to them as a counselor and support the rejection of this proposal as it's written here.
Mr. Mickle?
If I can make a comment too. I want to thank you, Andrew, for participating in this discussion. Your value is well taken. However, you have 3 strikes against you before you even commented. And the reason why I'm saying that is the administration have done their work, and obviously you have too. So I'm saying to you, is there any other place in Weyburn that sign would meet the criteria? Because I think your value brings things to Weyburn. It's a positive suggestion, but it's got to be at the right location.
That's a great point, and we scoured. I've been looking at Weyburn now for 5 years, kind of waiting for the right time, and right now we're looking to establish something there. There's a real push for it, just from our sales team. Obviously, you guys live in Weyburn, you notice that there's been growth in the community. Obviously, we want to be a part of that. One of the major issues that we had in finding any location in Weyburn is a 23-meter setback from an intersection. That's a highly unusual stipulation in the province for setbacks. The next largest that I can remember is 3 meters, and that's in Saskatoon. So with 23-meter setback from any particular intersection, it makes it very difficult to find a location where the sign makes sense. We zoned in on this one because we were looking at it as though the intersection that is more of focus and is the intersection of 39 and 35. And that the government road intersection wasn't as substantial of an intersection, and therefore we thought that the proximity made a little bit more sense there. But no, in terms of other locations in the city, like I said, I've driven around Weyburn a few times, and this was the one that really meets the criteria. Something that's important to note with these signs is that they're not cheap. And the return on investment period is quite long. So, we have to make sure that we're selecting a location that, that captures the right amount of traffic that's actually viable. And there aren't very many other spots in Weyburn that really meet that criteria.
Thanks for your comments, Andrew.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Art.
Thank you, Your Worship. Andrew, this is Councillor Morissette. I just want to thank you for choosing Weyburn to look at for your business and putting up a sign. Two thoughts. There's a sign down at the corner of Highway 39 and 3rd Street South. That was a contentious issue when it went in, and I worry for a lot of the pedestrians at that particular area. As we build Clark Park, which is just past the Travel Lodge, we're going to see more and more pedestrians at 35 and 39, and I would fear that too many distractions would cause a major accident.
What I like to say is that, what year was this bylaw construction made in, Janine?
In 2020, it was passed.
Was it 2020? Yeah. We didn't amend and do you know what are some of the other setbacks in the other cities? Have you seen that?
I've just done a preliminary review. I believe Regina from a major intersection requires 30 meters based on their zoning bylaw. And a few other places vary for their intersection site triangle. I've seen everywhere from 6 meters to 10 meters measured along the sides, so ours would be in line with what's in place elsewhere.
Oh, it's there. Okay. The only thing that I have a hard time with, and through all the years of policing, they would always talk about this startling and distracting the drivers, and they said that even lights under the cars were startling and distracting, and I had a hard time with that drivers have to pay attention, and that's where we're now moved into a digital sign phase, and that's where, again, and you see them all throughout Regina, Las Vegas, Saskatoon, all over the place. So it's not like these are new and startling and brand new stuff. So there should, if we could move into that site, move it back on the 23 meters, then as you have proposed in that first proposal, then that would be okay.
If they can meet the setback, yep.
So you just have to, Andrew, if you just have to figure out how to meet that setback of 23 meters?
Well, I think that there's a way. Like, I'm not overly familiar with what defines the intersection and what we'd be measuring from, but looking at the map, really we want to have it in that green area in front of the Travel Lodge. So we put it right at the front of it. But I mean, I think if you go to the back side of that, it would be pretty darn close to 23 meters off the intersection right there in front of the Travel Lodge.
Janine, go ahead.
Yeah, I haven't measured it. I know it's 10 meters along the Sims Avenue side, so I would say it would probably get close to the 23 meters. The other option would be if council approves it on the condition that it complies, then they can go to the Development Appeals Board and get relaxation from that requirement. I still don't know if I would support what's currently proposed, but we may be able to find something that would work a little bit better, somewhere closer to the 23 meters.
If we could move it to that 23 meters, that would be the better thing. And Mr. Richards, you were going to say? Go ahead.
Janine, if that did go to the Development Appeals Board, would they consider the height of the sign as a mitigating factor? Maybe not right up to where it is, but relaxing that a bit from 23 meters. And the reason I asked that is I read through this twice. I'll admit I'm not an engineer or a drafter, but I didn't realize until Andrew said how high it was that it was going to be fully 5 meters off the, I mean, it is right here in the chart, I see it now, but it was going to be fully 5 meters off the ground. And I would think that that would make some difference.
Yeah, I believe billboards are required if they're project over like a vehicular travel lane or a parking lot. They're required to be, I believe it's like 4.5 meters before the start of the sign, so it would be in line with what the standard is in the zoning bylaw for that. So I'm not sure how that would play into an appeal, but
Go ahead.
Thanks, Your Worship. Thanks, Janine. Andrew, it's Councillor Richards. Thank you, number one, like Councillor Morissette said, for choosing Weyburn. We want to do business with you, and we want to have business in our community. Beyond the location, Andrew, so we'll talk about that in a second. Can you meet all of the other requirements like the ambient light sensing and the default to black and the brightness and the display, whatever you call that, frequency? Can you meet all of the other criteria?
Yes. So okay. in the report prepared by Janine, in option 1, we can meet all of those guidelines. All of our signs have ambient light sensors on them, so the brightness is completely dependent on the ambient light. It's not time of day or anything like that. The screens go to black when they malfunction. We monitor our screens 24 hours a day. We've got support staff in Saskatoon and Regina. They go out and fix them. So we're pretty much in line with everything here. I think the main one that we're looking at is the setback is the main issue that we're debating.
Thanks for that. So Janine, from what you've shown me and what you've just answered some other questions, us being at 23 meters is not unheard of. In fact, it would sort of be somewhere in the realm of where most of the Saskatchewan communities are. I'm going to support the motion. I can't support the project, I guess, where it is, because this isn't even a minor variance. This is 22.5 meters from a minor variance even, or from meeting the setbacks. So, we just approved this bylaw last year. If we've learned anything, it's that we should listen to our bylaws. So I think that we have to, Andrew, I think that we have to have you and Janine kind of go back to that proverbial drawing board and find a location that works for this sign. Unfortunately, I'm going to vote for the motion tonight to deny your proposal, but I don't want to deny you a business opportunity in Weyburn. So I hope you could sit down with Janine and figure this out.
Mr. Janke?
Sorry, does Andrew want to respond?
Go ahead, Andrew. This is Mayor Roy. Just go ahead, speak.
I don't know that he had anything to say.
Okay, apologies. Janine, I have one quick question, then maybe one point of order about the proceedings here. But as far as our own bylaws are concerned, there's nothing in there about the length of the display, is there? Because I know highway is recommended to be at least 30 seconds, but I don't think most of our billboards in town are doing that now.
Yes, I believe our standard is a minimum of 6 seconds.
Okay, so that's what we would be expecting to adhere to here. Second question, maybe more for Donette. If we pass the motion on the floor right now, would Andrew still be able to come back and put together another proposal with Janine?
I will let Janine answer that question, actually.
If they came back with a different proposal, like a different setback or different location, then they could resubmit a development permit application.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that we're not killing us by voting it down right now.
Good question.
But if we were to change it to option 1, you'd still have to comply with the setback. The whole thing is that you still have to comply with, and that's the only thing that we're having a problem with.
The big difference between the two options would be whether there's an appeal right for the applicant. Option number 1 would give them the right to appeal the condition that they comply. Option number 2 doesn't have an appeal right on it, so.
Mr. Corrigan?
Yeah, as far as the discussion that's been going on tonight, I agree with most of everything that has been said. From my standpoint, it does come down to the setback, and I think it is a significant safety issue at this particular intersection, and with it being presented in the fashion that it is right now, I will support the motion to refuse the application, but I hope that they can find an alternative position for it that this project can go forward.
Ready for the question.
Just wait. Andrew, any other comment? You heard all this stuff there?
Yeah.
That you have to come back to, you'd have to come back, if we voted that we refuse that application, you'd have to figure out where to get that 23 meter setback.
Okay, so if me and Janine can get together and find that 23 meters at this same site, how does the council feel about approving it with that application? Would this site be recommendable if we can make the 23 meters separation work?
First off, we'll tell you what you do is that we're going to vote on this question first, and then from there, then that is where you're going to have to talk to Janine and go from there. Okay. Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. So you'll have to now go forward with Janine and discuss how to fit into what we need there for the 23 meter setback.
Okay.
Okay? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Yep. All right, thank you all for your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, bye now.
Inquiries and announcements. Dick, if you would.
Hi, your worship. First of all, I want to congratulate the Weyburn Comp Eagles football team who won the 5A provincial title on November the 12th by crushing the Balgony Greenall Griffins 44-0. Great effort from the team, coaches, and parents to make this happen, and you have proven that hard work does pay. Go Eagles, go. And while I have the floor for one more, that was great. You made Weyburn very proud of you. One more thing I want to bring out tonight, Council, to the public is I get a lot of calls about many things, but this one takes the cake. This is actually a good thing. I got calls about the Public Works Department, and if you remember the windy days, the last couple of windy days we had, the Work Department went the extra mile, and I'll tell you what they did. Not only did we pick up the garbage in the wind, but because of the wind, we had the wisdom to return the empty containers to the residents so they wouldn't blow all over the streets. Hats off to the Works Department. This is fantastic, and I thank you, Team Public Works. That's a tremendous job.
Just to further add to your comment about the Eagles, Dick, that once they won the championship, I think they got rated as the second place team in Canada.
In that size of
and that's in that size of school, which is fantastic for doing it. So that, Mr. Janke, did you ever have the problems of that when you played the Eagles?
Your Worship, I can't remember exactly what our record was in 1995, but it wasn't quite that good.
Okay. I just thought I'd throw that one out there. So, on that. Any other, Ms. Morissette?
Thank you, Your Worship. Not as fun as congratulating our local football team, but as the season is approaching, Christmas carols and crafts are going to be held at the Weyburn Public Library on December the 1st. So I encourage everybody to come down and make a craft or a card with all of us. I'll be there volunteering, and the rest of the library board will be as well.
The last time the mayor and I went Christmas caroling together, we were asked to stop, so not sure what to do.
There was threats of arrest or something causing.
There's lots of good charities that would benefit from that.
Perhaps. Anything else? Hearing nothing else, notice of motions? No notice of motions? Then we'll call this meeting adjourned.